You're not cheating on your wife if you eat my lemon square.
Your lemon squares taste like ass.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. It's our October hangout. Trace, you and I are doing this solo because we have so much shit to get through.
Oh my God, so many things. So everyone, yeah, what we are doing today is well actually, so we have noticed there are a lot of horror movies coming out, not just in 2022, but in the month of October alone. We have a list of nearly 40 horror properties, which may not even be everything that's coming out this month, but boy, oh boy, did we try to scrape up everything that we saw that was coming out.
Yeah, so folks, what we're going to do is we are going to toot or boot this list. We did something similar on Patreon last summer because I think June and July was really, really horror heavy. So,
Yeah.
if you want to hear what we ended up recommending for that, go back and check it out. But we thought this might be a fun little YouTube thing to do. So, yeah, we're going to step you through it title by title, date by date. And Trace, I'm going to take the first batch. So we're already past the first week of October. So, folks, you can already watch all of these titles. We're going to start with one called De-Influencer. It's on VOD. It was out on October 1st. It's about a kidnapped cheerleader who must jump through social media challenges by her abductor. I'm going to say boot on this one. Compared to some of the other titles, it just doesn't look good enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna say boot as well. I think this is a great premise. Like it's like it looks like it should have come out in 2007 because it's like Saw
Yes.
meets Captivity.
Uh-huh.
But it looks so cheap.
Very cheap.
So while I think I would like to see this premise or whatever done with a bigger budget, this does not look good. So yes, boot for me.
All right. Next up is Interview with the Vampire, which, of course, is the AMC television show based on the Anne Rice property. That started on October 2nd. This is a toot for me. It's just a question of when.
Yes, I'm the exact same. I actually had no interest in this when it was announced, just because I like the movie fine, but I don't have a super big connection with Anne Rice or her work.
Right.
Watch this trailer. I thought it looked really good, but the reviews are like
Really good.
glowing
And
and super
also
queer.
super queer. That to me, I was like, yeah, it could be fine. It could be fine. Then people were like, this shit's really gay. And I'm like, oh, let me just move that up a couple notches.
Yeah, this is definitely something I want to prioritize soon on top of the 50 other TV shows I have on my list. So,
Jesus Christ.
I will get to this. So yeah, I recommend this without having seen it, but word of mouth is awesome for this.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Next up is a movie called Among the Living that came out on October 4th. This is a UK property, I think. It's about a brother and
Mhm.
sister who are trying to survive a deadly outbreak. This is zombies. It looks fine, but it's just
Yeah.
not spectacular enough. So it's a boot for me.
I wrote the exact same thing. I said looks very generic and dull, unless maybe you like this subgenre already, which it's not my favorite. So
Mhm.
watch the trailer, but for me, this does not grab me at all.
Yeah, it's just not exciting enough.
Hmm.
Okay, so next up we have a pair of sci-fi TV shows, Reginald the Vampire, as well as Chucky season
Hmm.
2. Hopefully, folks have already gathered that we are interested in Chucky season 2, considering that we're covering it. Reginald the Vampire, I don't know much about, but I do love that main actor. So
Hmm.
again, this is a toot for me. I just don't know when I'll get to it.
Yeah, this is a slight toot. I had no
Slight
idea.
toot.
Slight toot. I had no idea what this was. So when I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, it does look like it looks a little bit self-satisfied with its own humor.
Okay.
However, there's a charm in this trailer that I was like, oh, this looks cute. And so I think there will be moments of genuine like pathos that will win me over, whereas the
Mhm.
humor is like hit or miss for me.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'm primarily just interested in Jacob Batalon, the lead
Yeah.
actor, because I've liked him in the Spider-Man movies and a couple of other things. But yeah, I mean, this also maybe looks like it's skewing a little young. Like this could be some gateway horror.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty bloody and stuff. It's on sci-fi, so we'll see. But
Fair, fair.
lot, that being said, this is the first of quite a few horror comedies we have on this list.
This is true. Yeah, if horror comedy is your jam, we got some more titles for you. So, not fitting that bill though is the next title, Mr. Harrigan's Phone. This is with Jaden Martell and Donald Sutherland. It debuted on Netflix on October 5th. It's an adaptation of a Stephen King short story. And I have reviewed this, and this is a big old boot because it A is barely horror, and B is like an hour and 50 minutes for a 70-minute short story trace. Like this thing is drawn out. It's directed by the guy who did The Blind Side, and that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, the trailer for this looked intriguing to me, but yeah, I mean, not just you, but other people that I trust have not given this like a good review. So, yeah, I no, it's a
No.
boot for me as well. I don't want to watch this.
There's just too much that if something isn't good, then why would you waste your time on it? So,
And that was my issue with a lot of things on this list where I was like, oh, there's a lot of generic looking, like nothing. There were a few things which we'll talk about, but there a lot of this I was like, nothing's really
it's
grabbing
not
me.
popping. No.
Yeah.
The next one I am very excited for. I know you've seen it, but I've heard
Mhm.
nothing but good things about Deadstream, which debuted on Shudder on October 6th. This is a horror comedy found footage about a guy who is a huge asshole and ends up battling ghosts in a house. And yeah, I really want to check this out, so I'm going to try to prioritize it.
Yeah, this is way more fun and interesting than I thought it was going to be. Basically, yeah, this guy, he's a YouTube streamer. He fucks up and essentially gets canceled. So he's
Mhm.
doing a thing to win back followers. The problem is the ghost in the house also wants followers. So it's kind of like Evil Dead in a way. And
Mhm.
you're right, this guy is an asshole, but it toes the really good line of making him endearing
Mm.
while also being kind of obnoxious, but where it doesn't ruin the movie experience for you.
Which is so important when you're dealing with assholes, because if you want me to root for
Yes.
them, I still need to find something slightly redeeming or empathetic or interesting about them.
And it's just him and this ghost the whole time. So like
Oh, okay. Okay.
it has to count.
It has to work. Yeah. Okay. So Deadstream, I think, is like the first big recommendation from this list then.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is another film that you have already seen, which is Terrifier. Obviously, we will acknowledge this being released by Bloody. And I don't know anything about Art the Clown. So I'm intrigued, but I also feel like I would need to watch the first film before I could check this out.
You do. So Terrifier 2 does pick up literally in the exact same scene that Terrifier ends on.
Okay.
I again, full cop, like we're under the bloody umbrella, but I'm not like I really loved this.
Okay.
However, if you did not like the first movie, there's not really much here for you.
Okay.
It is trying the first one's like going for this like 70s grindhouse sleaze, and it accomplishes that while being what some would claim as misogynistic, or there's like no narrative. And both of
Hmm.
those issues are addressed in this film
Oh, okay.
for better or worse. We get a narrative in Terrifier 2, but it also means the movie is 2 hours and 18 minutes long. So,
Yeah. Stunning.
again, if you like the first one, you're gonna love this. It is like the aliens. The first one's Alien.
Oh, okay.
But like, if you
It's a
didn't
lot.
like the first one, maybe steer clear of this.
Right. Okay. So, not a fan of the first one. Don't bother with this one. But if you are, I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about like the gore effects on this. And if 2 hours of great gore is your jam, then hey.
I mean, the thing is this: like, look, it looks cheap. The script is bad. The acting is bad. However,
Okay.
it is by design because it is going for this type of exploitation aesthetic. So,
Right. Okay.
like, it if you can make that clarification in your mind, I think you'll find enjoyment out of it. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like, it is a bad movie, but intentionally so.
Okay. It's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I will check that out sometime.
When you have 2 hours and 18 minutes plus the hour and 20 minutes for the first movie.
That is shocking. That difference is shocking. Okay, moving on. We've got Masking
Yeah.
Threshold, which comes out on October 7th. This one is a lesser known title. It's about a skeptical IT worker who tries to cure his harrowing hearing impairment. Watching the trailer for this one has me really intrigued because
Yeah.
it looks like a series of sound experiments, but then this person moves on to like capturing the sound that dead things make or things that
Mhm.
when you kill them, this is the sound that things make. And I'm like, what is happening? Is the whole movie going to look like this? I'm intrigued. So
Yeah.
it's a soft toot.
No, this is a full toot for me. God. No, this played at Fantastic Fest 2 years ago
Oh,
and I
okay.
missed it. But I
Oh,
heard some pretty good word of mouth from this, and I didn't know much about it. And then I watched this trailer, and honestly, the trailer
it's a
itself,
really good trailer.
it's so I've never seen a trailer done like this. So, and everyone,
Mm,
this is it's not spoilery. It really doesn't show you anything.
no.
Um, but I would recommend watching this trailer just to be like, wow, this is very innovative for
Mhm.
marketing. So I like this.
Yeah, full agreement. So this is an interesting pick that people should maybe keep on their radar if they're looking for something a little different this month. Next up, still on October 7th, folks, we're still like in the first week of October as we're going through this.
Still there.
So the next one is Significant Other. This is Micah Monroe and Jake Lacey, and it looks like something like they're a couple. They go hiking in the woods. Something happens to Jake Lacey that Micah Monroe cannot remember, and she's maybe untrustworthy. This one could be interesting. It's a soft toot because I like both these actors, and it looks intriguing.
I agree. Which the selling point should be enough for, like, Micah Monroe and Jake Lacey. However, I didn't realize this is from the same people that made Villains, the movie that Micah Monroe did with Bill Skarsgård.
And we like Villains a lot.
Yes. So granted, this is very different in tone, but that tidbit kind of put me over the edge. Where I'm like, okay, no, I do want to see this because I like what this group has done before.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That. Okay, that maybe raises it up a notch in my book says. Well.
Yeah, the trailer looks fine to me,
looks fine.
but the pedigree of those involved makes it better.
Right. It's when you start to, it's a reason why people should pay attention to creatives, because if you like a project and then you see something and it looks okay, but maybe not as good as you would hope.
Yeah.
If you know that it's by people who have made good work before, then that can be a selling feature. Okay, next up we have Werewolf by Night, which is on it's on Disney Plus on October 7th, and this is basically Disney's ode to like classic black and white horror, and I'm intrigued by this. I expected better word of mouth to come out of Fantastic Fest, and I don't know if it's that people didn't like the movie or if they were just disappointed that this was a secret screening. So I think I'll probably check it out, but probably not in October.
Yeah, I think it's barely over an hour long. Like, I don't think it's even like short. Feature length. Yeah, I think this looks fun. I mean, it's like Disney's version of Grindhouse almost, but and it is going to be gory because it's black and white, so it doesn't affect the rating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know much about this property. The trailer I thought was really cool. I mean, again, it looks gimmicky. I just hope that it ends up being more than just that.
Yeah. It gave me a kind of like Into the Dark vibe, the series that Hulu was doing, where it was like short-ish features, but and I can't remember who the director is, but it's a famous composer. I can't remember off the top of my head. You would know, and we're gonna get a bunch of comments about it.
But we have Gael Garcia Bernal as a titular Werewolf by Night, so yeah.
Okay, sticking with streamer sites, we've got Mike Flanagan's The Midnight Club, which is debuting on Netflix on October 7th. I've seen the whole series. Quick takeaway, it's fine. I think it's actually the least successful Mike Flanagan TV show because it doesn't have a lot of heart, which is something that's really disappointing when you consider the subject matter. And I don't think that the anthology format for adapting Christopher Pike novels entirely works, but I'm still sitting with it. I think I wanted more and it didn't deliver.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of this. I think the trailer's fine. I have no reference to Christopher Pike's work. I've never read any of his stuff. I know people like him. I am surprised to hear about the lack of heart, given that it's a Flanagan property, because even in his worst, and when I say worst, I mean like a good film that I think is really good, but it's my least favorite. The heart always comes across there. But this is also his first foray into YA horror, which I think is very interesting. So I'm intrigued by this, and I do want to watch it, but that is disappointing to hear. But it's a toot for me, but because not having seen it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a Flanagan, so if you're at all interested in his work, you owe it to yourself to check it out. I'm trying to figure out if it's my nostalgia for Christopher Pike and knowing all of these stories so intimately and just feeling like that isn't quite connecting, but I'll be curious to see what the reviews say. Obviously they're already out, but we're recording this in advance, so
yeah.
Okay, moving on, we have Hellraiser on Hulu October 7th. That's an obvious 1,000,000% toot.
Same for me as well. Really, I mean, we both seen this, but check it out on Patreon for our actual thoughts on this. But yes, toot for both of us. We recommend it.
Yes, indeed. And then the final one on October 7th is a movie called The Visitor. It's on VOD. This is a man who discovers that an old portrait looks like him. So shades of Dorian Gray a little bit. This is a toot for me because I like the aesthetic, but also because the director I think it's Justin LePage. He directed a movie called The Dark a couple of years ago that I was a really big fan of. So I'm excited to check out this
Okay.
new film from him.
Yeah, mild toot for me on this. The trailer didn't do a ton for me. I like the concept, but
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about how we stretch this to feature length.
Uh-huh.
And I hate this complaint when people say it, but I'm just gonna say it does look like we see a lot of this movie in the trailer.
Oh no. Okay.
And,
I
and
only
maybe
watched a
that's
little
not
bit
the
of it,
case.
so
It may not be the case, but that is the vibe that I got from this. And we have
right.
like I'm getting a little tired of like the violin strings as in horror trailers. Like I feel like it started
Mm-hmm.
with Hereditary and then we just kept doing it. Or actually with Mother even, and we just kept
Mm-hmm.
doing this.
It's because it worked once well, so we're just gonna keep doing it until we run it into the fucking ground.
But again, I'm the guy who's like, no, please give me more slow covers of pop songs and trailers. I want that.
Hmm.
So take my opinion with a grain of salt.
I was gonna say, aren't you the bitch who's been collecting every like Mondo vinyl that's coming out?
Mhm.
Okay, hypocrite. Why don't you take us into the second week of October?
Okay, week 2 of October. So first up, we have Bring It On, Cheer or Die, which is hitting Sci-Fi on October 8th. And I'm gonna say right now, I have seen this. I have endured this film, and it is one of the worst films I've ever seen, hands down, no hesitation. It sucks. Like I think the concept, like, turn Bring It On into a horror movie. That's great.
Hmm.
When I say that, when my husband and I were watching this, about 20 minutes in, like we both started like audibly like critiquing the film,
Oh
and we did not
no.
stop. It was
Oh,
it just there's no energy. It thinks it's really funny. It's not very well written, acted, shot, directed. The cheer routines, Joe. Oh my God, one of them does a
not even
cartwheel, and they're like,
that?
oh my God,
Oh God. Okay.
it's bad. So
Okay.
boot.
That's extremely disappointing. I did have this relatively high on my list because, like you said, I think it's such a fun concept. And like Bring It On is a really important series to me. Like
Hmm.
I fucking had a table at my wedding that was like Bring It On and Save the Last Dance. So extremely disappointing. I will probably check it out just because
Do
you've
it.
piqued my curiosity about how bad it could be. But obviously now I will not be prioritizing watching this in the near future.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what you think of this. Maybe
Oh
you'll be like 5 stars.
my God, 5 stars. Loved it.
All right, next up we have a new creature feature kind of a thing on the way. We've got Grim Cuddy hitting Hulu on October 10th, and I it seems like we're mixing a bit of J horror in here, like it's like an urban legend type thing where you do
Mhm.
something and like you summon the Grim Cuddy. I think this trailer is really good, and the creature design, which is revealed at the very end of this trailer, is awesome.
Really good. Yeah.
The So based on that alone, it's a toot from me.
Mhm.
However, I have heard word of mouth from some of our critic friends that it is not very good. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I'm the same. We have the same friend who has warned us that it's not that great. But for me, this is a two just because I'm desperate for a creature feature revival. And
yeah.
I agree. I think this trailer looks really good and that creature design looks really good. So part of me is like, well, maybe I'll cut it some slack if I can get like a decent creature feature out of it.
Yeah. And just because one of our friends doesn't like it doesn't mean that neither one of us will either.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up we've got Spirit Halloween the movie, which is hitting I want to say VOD on October 10th.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, I this is interesting. I'm gonna say a soft toot because
Yep.
while this is essentially just a big budget commercial, I'm sorry, big budget. I'm sorry, it has a bigger budget than a commercial, but it's not a big budget looking movie.
I was gonna
Um,
say there might be commercials that have a bigger budget than this movie. We won't know.
and it doesn't look like this. I think it looks fun, like fun gateway horror, but it also
Mhm.
does look kind of cheap. And so I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like, it could be a fun diversion. I just hope it is fun. Like that's my issue here.
Right. Yeah. I'm in full agreement. This could just be silly little escapist, like you've got 80 minutes, you throw it on, you have a good time, or you put it on in the background or something. So if it does its job in recruiting kids to horror, then I'm all for it. But yeah, this does look a little slight.
Yeah. So yeah, well, whatever. Next up is Deep Fear hitting VOD on October 11th. And Joe, I feel like everyone's just going to be saying, which is exactly what I'm saying now,
Me
stop
too.
reminding me of As Above, So Below, because that's just
Yep.
what this looks like. And there is nothing in this trailer that tells me anything other than the fact that they are running around the catacombs away from something. And so this is a boot for me because I just like, it doesn't, this doesn't grab me at all. And I already have As Above, So Below.
That is very fair. That's immediately what I thought of. It's like people need to recognize that that film exists, and it's going to be the first and foremost in people's thoughts when you say French catacombs, people
Catacombs,
stuck in it.
yeah.
Like, this is a soft shoot for me because I do think it looks interesting. Like I'm sold on the premise because I also liked As Above, So Below,
Mhm.
but this one looks like it's not going to be supernatural. It might actually be men setting up traps or something in the catacombs. So I'm interested to see whether there's something else going on here, like something that makes it distinct.
Yeah, this trailer did the thing where it doesn't show me enough, which can be good,
Mm-hmm.
but so like I don't know much about what's going to happen, but it doesn't show me enough to like
Lure
grab
you
me.
in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Next up, we've got our new Dario Argento film, Dark Glasses, which hits Shudder on October 13th. They actually did this as a secret screening a
Mm-hmm.
few weeks ago. I mean, look, Dario Argento's output the past 2 decades has not
Not been
been the
great.
best.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, this movie, which is the premise of like, oh, a sex worker is blinded by a serial killer, and a little Chinese boy like helps her out, like solve the mystery or something.
Mm-hmm.
Great premise.
Mm-hmm.
I this is a soft toot. My reservations only because Argento hasn't had the strongest track record recently, and I think the reaction, I think this is done a few film festivals. The reaction's been like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, soft toot.
Yeah, it's a soft tooth for me as well. I have seen this. I reviewed this out of Fantasia earlier this summer,
Mm,
and yeah, it is fine. It's actually got a surprising amount of heart for an Argento film. Like it's
hmm.
almost more of a buddy film with this woman trying to learn to like connect with this boy and him helping her. There's a couple of sweet parts. There's a really great set piece where they get they're running away from the killer and they end up like wading into water where there's like eels, and I was like, oh, this is fun,
Ooh,
but it's brief, and it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, Argento, give me more weird shit.
yeah.
Like I want that kind of stuff, because a lot of the actual horror, apart from the gore is surprisingly good, but
Okay.
there's, you just kind of want a bit more of it. Like it's worth watching, but it's not a rush out to see it.
Got it. Well, it's on Shutter, so I don't have to rush anywhere to see it.
No, it'll be there.
Well, speaking of Dario Argento, the next one is a film coming out on October 13th, and it is Dario Argento presented, a female director starring Alice Krieg.
Mm-hmm.
She will, and this was a Fantastic Fest film that I also missed. Is finally coming out. I knew nothing about this. The trailer's a vibe, and I really dug what I was seeing. So this is a toot for me.
Yeah, I will give this a toot, somewhere between a toot and a soft toot. I saw this, I can't remember where, maybe at Sundance or somewhere else,
Hmm.
but Creed is fantastic in this. It is definitely a mood, a vibe. The
Yeah.
narrative is thin. This is all about the visuals. It's like, honestly, smoke up and just have a good time with it because it's like, woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's worth checking out. She's great in it.
Good. That's good to know. Last up for this second week of October, we've got Ryan Murphy's series on Netflix, The Watcher, starring Naomi Watts, Jennifer Coolidge, and Bobby Cannavale.
Hmm.
This is a toot for me. I
Okay.
know that we are all like hating on Ryan Murphy right now for his true crime shit because the Dahmer show, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah, ethics, morals, blah. I didn't know about
Ethics,
this story.
morals, blah.
Blah blah blah. Whatever. I've accepted that it will not always be handled with care, but whatever.
Sure.
I knew
Hmm.
nothing about this true story, and my husband
Okay.
did though.
Oh.
And when it was announced, he was like, "I cannot wait for this because it's this family moves into a house and they just keep getting notes from someone who's saying, 'I'm
Hmm.
watching you.'" But the thing is, they never caught this guy.
Okay.
Like this, so and it's just like apparently the notes themselves, you can find them online or hear them in podcasts. It's just so fucking creepy. This trailer doesn't really give off a super creepy vibe, so I'm
Hmm.
hoping we kind of lean more into that when in the actual show. But I mean, Naomi Watts and Jennifer Coolidge, like, come on, like it's a toot.
Yeah, the cast is amazing. The Ryan Murphy of it all is what gives me a little bit of a pause, especially with Netflix. I've watched a couple of his Netflix shows and they run really long, like The Politician and Hollywood. Those are like hour-long episodes. So
Yeah.
I'm just I'm worried about the investment because I've been burnt by Murphy so often, but I will
Hmm.
probably check this out just given the cast. And yeah, the premise sounds really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, take us into the third week of October, Joe.
Okay, here we go. So we have The Curse of Bridge Hollow, which comes out on October 14th. This is a Marlon Wayans kind of gateway horror. This is
Hmm.
giving off sort of spirit Halloween, goosebumpsy
Goosebumps.
sort of vibes.
Yeah.
So not really my jam. It didn't really do much for me, but it's one of those titles where I think, oh, I'm happy that this kind of thing exists because I think this is going to be really good for other people.
Yeah, I kept getting press emails for this, and I was like, this doesn't look. I didn't watch any of the trailers, and so that being said, the humor in the trailer didn't like most of it didn't work for me. It was like, ooh, like this is like really juvenile, like corny
Yes.
humor.
Hmm.
However, the premise of hey, all the Halloween decorations come to life, like
It's
it
fun.
this looked really fun, and there was some. I mean, like Marlon Wayans running down the hall screaming like a little girl. Like, I mean, like stuff
Hmm.
like that. I was like, I'm with you. I think this will be really good for kids. But as a 33-year-old man, I'm a little intrigued by this. So this is a
Okay.
toot for me. It looks
Oh, good.
cute, but like dumb.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Next up, we have Piggy, which comes out on October 14th. I think this might be a Shutter one, but
Yeah, I think so.
so this is a Spanish film. I did catch this at Sundance. This is a soft toot for me. It's basically a fat girl who gets picked on in her small town, ends up witnessing a bunch of popular kids who torment her, get abducted by a serial killer. And
Hmm.
then she has to decide whether or not to say anything or go after the killer himself. And the premise is really good. This lead actress is good. There's a lot of cringe, like fat phobia off the fucking charts. It's the whole premise of the film.
Right.
Good gore. I'll just say you keep wanting it to be better or more exciting, and the climax doesn't entirely satisfy. Like, it's fine. I would recommend people check it out if you're at all interested, but it again isn't a rush out to see it.
Yeah, this is a toot for me. Again, I had not seen this, but the trailer and the premise of this, I was like, oh yeah, sign me up. And I feel like as queer people, this is a very relatable premise. Like what
Mm-hmm.
would you do if you saw your bullies and the people that beat you up
Yep.
abducted by a serial killer?
Mm-hmm.
So that alone, execution aside, like I really do want to see this.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Next up, we have the very obvious Halloween Ends. So this is likely going to be a boot for me, but I will still check it out because, of course, we're covering it on the Patreon. And
Yeah.
it's the third film in a trilogy. Like, if you watch the other two, you're going to watch this one.
Yeah, it would be a boot, but I'm going to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Hits theaters and Peacock on the same day, just like Halloween Kills.
Yeah. We can watch it in our house. Like, we're not going to watch it. Come on.
I think I'll probably go to theaters,
Oh,
maybe.
really? Okay.
We'll see. I mean, just like yeah, I mean, at least there'll be fans there. Hopefully, I mean, it didn't help me with Kills personally, but maybe it'll help me with Ends. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. You know
Yeah,
what? I like this upbeat positivity of, someone's going to save this movie for me.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm not excited about this, but I'm gonna see it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. You know what? Maybe it'll do something that'll excite us.
Hmm.
We won't know until we find it.
Hmm.
Next up is Bitch Ass, which comes out on October 14th. I think you and I have both seen this. Unfortunately, this is a toot for me. It's a black serial killer, which was the main reason I
Wait, wait,
was
wait, wait,
most.
wait, wait, wait. Unfortunately, it's a toot, or unfortunately, it's a boot.
Sorry, unfortunately, it's a boot. This I love the idea of this. I think the execution is messy, and the biggest problem is that this film is just cheap. Like, it can't
Yes.
do the things that it wants to do. So we've got a black serial killer who is getting revenge on people who treated him badly when he was a child, but the revenge is all kind of saw like games that people have to play. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so down for this, but it's not, it doesn't have enough money to do anything interesting, and it's not shot particularly well.
I'm in complete agreement. This is a boot for me. I gave this a 2 out of 5. I saw it when I saw it. Yeah, and the games in question, by the way, are like family
So
board games.
good.
So it's like Connect Four, Operation. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is a really, really cool premise.
Yes.
And yeah, it is cheap. And you can argue, well, hey, it is going for a cheap aesthetic. The problem is though, even on that front, it feels
Mm-hmm.
artificial to a point
Yes.
where it doesn't work for me. So I mean, maybe give it a chance if you're curious about the premise, but
Mm-hmm.
this could have used a bigger budget and probably a better director.
Yeah, I don't want to pit films against each other, but I did see a film at TIFF called The Blackening by Tim Story. It's obviously a bigger budget, produced by a well-known director. It's an all-black cast that are being picked off at a cottage, and there's like a game theme involved in there. That film is much, much better. It doesn't have a release date yet, but I would say if Bitch Ass sounds intriguing, but you don't want to watch it because it doesn't catch your eye,
Hmm.
it doesn't look like it'll satisfy, wait for The Blackening. That's a
Okay,
better version of this.
got it.
Okay, next up we have Old Man, which is hitting VOD on October 14th. And honestly, I would not care a lick about this movie, except that it is the new film by
Yep.
Lucky McKee and it stars Stephen Lang. So it's a toot.
That is exact. This trailer didn't really do anything for me, but the
Nope.
second I saw Lucky McKee's name, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yes,
Like,
obviously.
yeah. So it's a soft two in the sense that I want to see McKee like do a new film, but yeah, and Stephen Lang is like it's Stephen Lang,
Mhm.
but yeah, the premise like this doesn't look particularly engaging to me.
No, it's definitely one of those. I like these people, but I wish that the property itself looked more interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, next up is maybe one of the weirder titles on this list. It's The Loneliest Boy in the World. It comes out also on October 14th. And this is about a lonely boy who ends up digging up a best friend. It's the body of a recently dead teenage boy. I don't know how he reanimates him,
Yeah, I don't know either.
but it's a very kind of wackadoodle offbeat comedy. It's got like queer vibes because I keep getting
Hmm.
emails from PR people being like, we know horror queers, this should be up your alley. And I'm like, maybe it's a soft toot. I think I will check it out eventually, but I'm getting kind of like Fido vibes from this, where it could be neat, but it could also be bad.
I was getting what was the movie with Anthony Head where he played a vampire killer, but like, oh God,
Oh, let the wrong
let
one
the wrong
in.
one in. Yeah, it was giving me vibes like that. It is,
Hmm.
I want to say British.
I
So
think so. Yeah.
the humor looks a bit more dry. Again, this is one more much like Reginald the Vampire, where I was like, oh, the humor isn't really working for me, but this looks cute. Like,
Yes.
and
Very cute.
it looks like more people start becoming zombie type things because his mom
Hmm.
becomes one, and like, so
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, and so yeah, this is a soft two where I'm like, oh, like this looks like a fun diversion, but I don't like the humor is not really vibing with me yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost want to see what the reviews say just to see whether it's worth my time. And
Hmm.
then I will decide from there.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more, and then I'll kick it back to you. And that is another bloody film. So we have VHS 99, the new anthology series coming. Sorry, it's not a series, it's an anthology
The film.
film from a series of directors. And it's coming out on October 20th on Shudder. And I will say, I'm a bad VHSer. I think I've only seen the first one, maybe the second one. I've not
Ooh.
seen the most recent one, and I have not seen 99, but I'm always intrigued by the lineup of directors that they get, and I think this one looks particularly strong.
So I have seen all of VHSs except for this one, obviously. Yeah, VHS one, I like fine. I tend to be in the minority where like I a lot of the characters are just asshole men, and sometimes you can argue that's the point because we're taking revenge on them. But I found a
Sure.
lot of the stories in VHS one kind of hard to
Repetitive.
watch. I was just
Okay.
annoyed by a lot of the characters, but I liked
Hmm.
High West honeymoon segment, which weirdly enough most people don't seem to like.
Oh, okay.
VHS two fucking rules.
Hmm.
If you have to watch one of these films, like that is the one you need to see. I think there's one story I don't like in that one. VHS Viral. The third one is it's fine. I was in the minority in not liking 94.
Oh,
I
okay.
love the Ratma segment, and I really
Right.
like Simon Barrett's second story, which is the funeral scene. But it's one where I was like, oh, I wish this had about 10 more minutes on it. But then you
Mm,
get Timo Tchajanto's film, which is a 30-minute short, and it feels way too long. But they gave him
okay.
that because his short in VHS 2 was really long and the most well-received one.
I see.
Anyway, I didn't like 94 though after that. Beyond that, like I didn't like any of these shorts. So
Hmm.
I'm Brad, our editor would kill me for saying
I
that.
was gonna say, woo.
No, but I was a lot of people liked it. Yeah, I think this looks fine, but given that I haven't loved one of these films since two, it's it's a soft two. Because again, with an anthology, like if you don't like a
You never
story,
know.
boom, we're moving on to the next one.
Yeah, I think that's still the biggest selling feature, right? It's, you could hit a winner, but then you could also hit a bunch of duds. So it's like you kind of have to just try it and see what happens and what works
Yeah,
for you.
but again, highly recommend y'all. Like if you have to watch one of these, watch VHS two. You will not
Okay.
regret it.
Okay. That is my section. So I'll kick it back over to you.
All right. So first up, we've got a Hulu film called Matriarch hitting Hulu on October 21st. We're getting a lot of like women's issues with their mothers movies lately, I feel like.
Hmm.
I mean, this is giving me a lot of Relic vibes, but maybe less metaphory.
Right.
the selling point here for me is Kate Dickie, who
Yes.
never ceases to impress me. She's a really great character actress. Again, y'all
Fucking
have seen her.
scary, man.
So
That
she's
woman looks like she's unhinged and she could do violence at any moment. So
yes. So this is a two. I don't know if it's one I'm in a rush to see, but like this trailer intrigued me. And again, like Kate Dickie, I'm just like, yes, give me more of you in horror, please.
yeah, and I kind of gently love the premise of this woman who goes home and her mom has maybe become a cult leader in this small Irish
I
town. It's
guess.
like, oh, okay, like this sounds weird. It could be deeply fucked up. I just hope it's not boring. Like that's kind of my main thing is it just going to be like the same like mom, what's going on for 90
Yeah.
minutes or something? So but this is a toot for me.
Yeah. Next up, we have Slashback hitting VOD on October 21st. This is aliens attack an indigenous community in Canada. I want to say it's
Mhm.
Nova Scotia, maybe.
It is not. No, this is
Okay.
Newfoundland, like way far
Okay.
north.
Yeah. So this is
No,
this
not
is
Newfoundland. Sorry. Oh my God. Bad Canadian alert. Sorry. This is the Northwest Territories. There we go.
okay. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
No, this is a gentle throwback to like 80s gateway horror. Like this is reminiscent of things like Gremlins to me. But yeah, these girls are they realize their town is under attack by aliens and they try to protect the town. There's a lot of Thing vibes in this.
Hmm.
This is a toot for me. I liked this film quite a bit. I didn't love it because I do think the budget restrains what the film can do. I think the effects look fine, but we don't get a lot. There are a lot fewer alien attacks in this film that you will expect from like Attack the Block
Yeah.
going in because yeah, they just don't have the budget to do a lot. But what they do, I think, is very effective.
Yeah, so I caught a screening of this with the director and some of the cast in attendance. And like when you hear about the production history, this is so impressive. Like they basically had to put everything they would need to shoot the film on a single plane and fly it
Yeah,
up there because it's so expensive to shoot this far north. So it's also a lot of first time actors. Like these
yeah.
kids are not professionals. So some of the acting is a little bit dicey, but I love the heart of it. I think it's really interesting
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of telling a completely different kind of story. And the guy who does the alien, it's basically like he wears people's skin, but the skin doesn't fit right. And
Mm-hmm.
they move really janky. And basically, the dude who did it was a choreographer or like a dance choreo. No, not a
Oh,
dance choreographer. He was a dancer. So, like, he developed a specific way
to the
that this alien
motions.
would move. And I think that it's really creepy and unnerving. So it's a toot for me. I don't think it's gonna hit everybody's pleasure
I mean,
piece.
I just say just go in knowing that this is not a movie that's wall to wall alien attacks. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
the threat is there, but like the action scenes are minimal. This is more about the relationships between these girls.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Slayers with Malin Ackerman and Thomas Jane. I will confess that when I
Mm-hmm.
got these press emails, I was like, "Ooh, this does not look good."
Nope.
I think the trailer it looks better than I thought. It looks like a solid C film. However, that being said, watching Malin Ackerman play like a queen vampire lady, I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, "Ooh, that might be enough to make me watch." To be honest.
Yeah, it looks like it could be fun, but it looks like it could also be really fucking bad. I think
Yeah.
it wants to be a Zombieland kind of vibe, and it's
Yeah.
not hitting that. But yeah, I mean, like, it's got good people in it, so I think even if it's trash, I'll probably give it a try.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I have one too many drinks. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's put that on.
Let's put it on. Sure. What's the worst that could happen? Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, we've got hitting Netflix on October 25th, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities anthology series.
Hmm.
Anthologies aren't my favorite thing because I'm just like, like I'd rather have a feature length. But that being said, this trailer looks really fun. Obviously, I feel like we are getting in the habit of slapping Guillermo del Toro's name on things, though, which I'm kind of
Sure.
like, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. It's like James
Hmm.
Wan in the Conjuring universe.
Right.
That being said, this looks fun. Like, give me a modern day Tales from the Crypt or Creep Show. I mean, I know we have Creep Show already, but let's see what Guillermo del Toro does with this. I hope it is mature. Like, I hope it's for adults and not for kids.
Yeah, I'm still not sure who the intended audience is. I mean, it's Netflix, so they threw a lot of money at this. They hired a lot of really good directors for it, so I will check it out, but I have a lot of those same concerns.
Yeah. Next up, we have Feed Me on October 27th, which I believe is hitting VOD. And what we've got
Hmm.
here, so this is based on a real life case.
Yep.
This is I think it's like 2001, but the Armin Maiwis murder case, where basically a man willingly subjects himself to being eaten by a cannibal.
Yeah.
You can see another adaptation of this story in a really solid Kerry Russell film from the 2000s called Grim Love. But this, it's a toot for me. I think it.
Okay.
I love the concept. Here's my thing.
Yeah.
My fear is this lead performance looks like it could become grating very quickly.
It's so over the top. Like, folks, if you're not entirely sold on the premise, watch the trailer because it makes it look like a kind of rambunctious comedy. This
Yes.
lead actor is so big. He's taking up all the space all the time. But yeah, I mean, it felt overwhelming in like a 90-second trailer. So I don't know how it's
Yes.
going to play as a feature.
The vibe I was. Did you ever see The Greasy Strangler?
I have not, but
Okay.
I heard it's very divisive.
It looks. I hated it.
Okay.
I hated it.
Okay.
And granted, this is a movie that deserves to be seen like in a midnight setting, like in a
Right.
theater with a bunch of people who are wasted. Like I watched it home alone on my couch, and it
Ooh,
did not. Like it was a thing
no.
where it's like, yeah, we have this kind of goofy vibe to this really serious material, and a lead performance that you will either really vibe with, or you're going to be like, this is so fucking obnoxious.
Right.
So this is a two, but I with the clarification that I think that this lead performance by, I want to say his name is Neil Ward, it might be too
It could be
much.
a lot. Yeah. Okay.
Coming to theaters only on October 28th is
Mm-hmm.
Prey, Prey for the Devil. This is a nun doing exorcisms movie, and it looks like it should have come out about 10 years ago. This is a boot for me. Good Lord, this looks so generic and boring. I cannot.
Yeah, it's a hard boot for me. I remember getting the email where it was like, and this is coming out. And I thought, A, this is going to theaters and theaters
Theaters
only.
only.
It's got Virginia Madsen in it, which to me is like a personal affront because A, it completely is going to misuse her. She's going to be a glorified cameo. This movie just looks bad, and you're right, it looks like it should have come out at least a decade ago when we were doing this all the time. But also, this is a straight to VOD. Like, don't try to tease me with theaters for this looks like nonsense.
They're banking on the Halloween weekend money. Like I don't think there's a
100%.
big horror release coming to theaters that weekend. Like
Yeah.
Halloween Ends will be in its third week of release, so
Mm-hmm.
they're banking on that opening weekend money, and then is if it makes anything, and then it's gonna drop off.
Yeah, this reminds me of like when we were doing like first week of January possession films. What was that, like The
Mm-hmm.
Devil Inside or some other shit like that?
Yes, the Vatican tapes, like things. It
Yes.
looks like things like that, where it's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, they're not like terrible, but they're just so generic and off
Yeah.
bringing nothing to the table.
Mm-mm.
What is bringing something new to the table, however, is something coming out October 28th, and that is Run, Sweetheart, Run. And Joe, this is a movie I missed this at the festival because it's also I've missed all
Okay.
these Fantastic Fest films. They're all coming out now. This is basically like a blind date goes awry, and the lead
Mm-hmm.
actress is Ella Balinska, who was the star of the Resident Evil TV show, which
Right.
and
We
the villain
love.
is Pilu. Oh yeah, love her. And the villain is Pilu Asbeck, who's from like Overlord and
Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones.
She's
This
great
looks
too.
real. What the trailer came out the day we're recording this, and so I finally
Mm-hmm.
got to watch this, and we get some fourth wall breaking, which basically she leaves the blind date and he is chasing her through town, but he is always like he can always find her.
Mm-hmm.
This looks really interesting to me. So it's a two. My only fear is there's a Bria Grant movie called Lucky that came out last
Right.
year, and it got a really good reception. It didn't really work for me because it is a metaphor movie front and center, and I felt like it was very heavy handed and preachy. That worked
Okay.
for some, it did not work for me.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping this doesn't fall into that same trap because it looks like a similar approach to this type of material.
Right. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this concept and I like both those lead actors. I've seen mixed reviews, like it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of okay. So I'm intrigued by it. If nothing else, it probably will benefit from being coming out at the end of the month because at that point it'll be like, oh, we like the list is very front heavy if folks haven't noticed. Like the first two
Yeah.
weeks of October is when most things are coming out. So I kind of feel like we might be hungry for something a little bit different at the end of October. But yeah, this is one that I'll catch, but I'm slightly trepidatious.
Well, it's also giving off midnight vibes, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
woman stalked through the city by a killer or
Yeah,
whatever the fuck he is.
right.
But yeah, okay. And our last one for October is a family friendly. So we've got hitting Netflix on October 28th is the Jordan Peele produced Wendell and Wild, and this is from the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas and
Mm-hmm.
Coraline. I mean, you know that stop motion and CGI and claymation, like none of it's really my cup of tea. That
Right.
being said, I liked this trailer. I have not seen Coraline, and I've been told that I need to because it's a really like genuinely scary like children's horror film.
Right.
So this is a toot for me. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it right away just because it's animation and I'm kind of like, meh. But
Right.
I liked the look of this.
Yeah, it's a toot for me as well. Just the people behind it are recognizable figures that we know do good work. So it like basically if Peel put something out, I watch it. That's how this works. And yeah, I think it could be interesting. Like, when was the last time we got purely animated horror? It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it seems like a worthwhile endeavor to support.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, so y'all let us know all your thoughts on this, and I mean whatever we miss. I mean, again, like we were looking for, there was so much shit, there's so much shit coming out this month. I can't.
And it's funny because we were like, oh, okay, well, we'll go through this list and we'll just do like quick tutor boots. And then it's like, no, we have so many opinions. But also, I think we said toot to nearly all of these titles. There was like 3 hard no's.
Yeah, I guess this is the thing. If we had seen them, like it'd be different. But yeah, I guess the thing where it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess I would watch this if pressed. Like I wouldn't be like, fuck no, like that's not my thing. Except for the couple that I already said that about. But yeah. But yeah, so y'all let it come at us with all this shit. Like, what are you most excited to see? What are you least excited to see?
Yes.
Until next month, we can cross out what are we calling this? Tutor Boot movie October release edition.
Yeah. And yeah, cross out the Horrorcores Hangout.